Hi, it's Helen Tarrant. Hi, my name is Helen Tarrant and welcome to another episode of the Commercial Property Roadshow. Today I'm going to explain to you how you can get started small in commercial property. So starting with a little bit of a deposit and be able to grow that. So there's a couple of different strategies. Firstly, I want to explain to you that in commercial property, you actually get a return on investment for the deposit you put in. So let's look at this, how that would work. So for example, you have $50,000 or $70,000 to get started and you want to buy a commercial property instead of a residential property. You could probably buy something between $150,000 to $200,000. Now you have a couple of options. You can either go to Melbourne CBD and buy small office space that's maybe generating somewhere around 7% return, and it's going to be a small office space, probably even less than 50 square meters, but it's going to be in the center of Melbourne CBD and it's going to have what we call transit rolling tenants. So they may be on 1 or 2 year leases going forward. Now they're going to be bright and cheery, happy little spaces. They are going to be what you would call very liquid assets, so you can sell them straight away because there's plenty of people that's always in the market buying small properties. There's also the tenants come and go, but you won't have long periods of vacancy because you have tenants that basically move around in the building. So as their business grows, they'll move to a larger premise. As they shrink, they'll go to a smaller premise. So you have these rolling tenants. So it's not a bad investment to get started in. Now, that's a passive set and forget type of property, and it's in a central location, so you have to hold out for actually your capital gain, but in the meantime you will get some positive cash flow from it. So how that would work is, say on $200,000 purchase, you're going to get at a 7% yield, you're going to get $14,000 income coming in from the rent. Now all the outgoings are being paid either by the tenant or the tenant's paying a higher level of rent so that it covers the outgoings, but you're getting $14,000. Now let's say that you're borrowing $150,000 because you've got $50,000 in the deposit. $150,000, you're borrowing $150,000. Let's just say at 5% interest because of round numbers. Really at the moment it's much less than 5%, but let's say it's 5% interest. Then you are actually paying somewhere around the vicinity of $7,500. So somewhere around, let me have a look. So it's, that's $7,500 you're paying in the interest. So if you are getting $14,000 coming from that property and you're paying $7,500 in interest, you are actually making about $6,500 in positive cash flow. Now, your $50,000 in the deposit might be coming through from a drawing down a line of credit or big money or cash in the bank. If it's cash in the bank, you're getting 2 or 3%. If it's drawn down on an equity or it's in the offset account, you might be, as high as 4%. But for $50,000, even at 4%, the costs of that, supporting that on an interest only basis, is about $2,500. So if you take $2,500 from the $6,500 you've got left from the positive cash flow to service, let's say, the interest on the deposit, you still have $4,000 left. So I know that's not a lot, but on a $200,000 investment, $4,000 positive cash flow coming in your pocket each year is actually a really good return when you look at that in comparison to what you can get for $200,000 in residential. If you buy a $200,000 property in residential, you would have to go out way regional. There's no way you can be buying that in Melbourne Metro, and there's no way you can even be buying that in fringe areas. You'll be buying an apartment somewhere in regional Victoria, Sydney, or in Brisbane, or alternatively you will probably be able to buy a house in in regional areas. Now, so if you compare that and what you might be getting if you were buying an apartment, you'll be negative $4,000 a year minimum. So if the capital gains is relatively the same, and remember you're buying this in a metro area, then commercial is actually a much, much better return. So that's number one. Number two is actually about other options. So how do I grow if I have $50,000? Well, the only way you would grow it for a portfolio is that you take that $50,000 and you either invest in two things. Firstly, you invest in a group deal, so with other people. If you can pull together 5 or 6 other people together, then you can invest in a larger project that in 3 or 4 years will have a uplift component, which means that you'll have some cash coming in, but then through the next 3 or 4 years, you're going to engineer some growth. So you're going to maybe refurbish, put new tenants in, strata, sell off the property, and therefore you are going to get a capital return on that, and that grows to 50,000. Or alternatively, if you don't have that option, you can look to go regional, and this is talking about quite regional. We're talking about large regional towns, but on a smaller scale. So, for example, somewhere like Townsville or Rockhampton, or even areas like Bundaberg, or if you go to regional Victoria, you can find a property that is that basically is maybe a shop front with one tenant and one tenant vacant. There's plenty of that in regional areas. You just got to be careful that you're getting some kind of cash flow that's going to help you with the retenancy period, because the retenancy period could be somewhere around 9 or 12 months, and you may need to put in some cost with refurbishments over time. So you should treat it as a project. But once you tenanted that property, look to sell it and be able to gain another $30,000-$40,000 out of that. It's not inconceivable. It's actually really doable. A lot of our clients who are starting small will do that, but you have to have the patience to be able to find something that is going to be under $200,000 in a regional area that has the potential to actually be sold for $250,000 or $300,000 in 12 months time. Which, if you want to find out more, if there's some metrics around it, and there is also some more there's some research that you need to do about the area, which I'll cover in the following up video. But also, if you want to find out more about it, please reach out to helentarrant.com, and more than happy to share with you my education videos, which will help you to understand a bit more about commercial property. So that's the number 2 option, is to really spend some time on a project and growing that $50,000 so that you sell the project, you come back with potentially $80,000. You might then take that and do it again and end up with 120, and then do it again and again and again. Now that's going to mean it's going to be a little while before you can buy a set and forget property, but it also means that you're growing your equity or your deposit in the back end, which is also really good, because it just means that in the future you are having a large deposit base to get into something set and forget. So it's just the matter of comparing something that is set and forget, which means you're starting to get cash flow from day one, or something that's more active. Now, the more active one is going to take some time, so you just got to realize whether you actually have the time to be able to deliver and do that. So that's your 3 options. Your first option is to buy something that's set and forget in a metro area. Your second option is to join a group of people, and we can certainly help you with that as well, because we've got a large community of people, and we've got some meetup groups, and we've got webinars that can help you. You can mix with like-minded people, and there you might find someone who want to get into a joint venture with you. So that's number 2, is going with a group of people and doing a project within a few years. And number 3 is about going to regional areas and finding a property that is partially vacant, already has a tenant, has a holding income, will cover your outgoings and maybe part of your mortgage, and then doing a uplift project where you just simply putting a new tenant in there and making sure it's a full tenancy, bringing up the returns of that property, and then selling that property for a capital gains, which adds on to your deposit, allows you to do that again and again. Now, if you are very active, you could do those projects anywhere from 6 to 9 months and continuously to roll that over. And if you do that for 3 or 4 years, you'll realize that you can actually triple your deposit base. And really, that's the best way to get started in commercial property. Either take the set and forget route or the active route. So whether you decide to go either one of those, we're happy to help you during that process. All you have to do is go to helentarrant.com, send us an email, and we can help you further during that process. So until next video, bye for now.